Hi guys, this is skittflash here, and welcome to my 5th Filler Fridays. It's hard to believe I've been doing this for over a month now. In this part I'm going to be talking about the Fire Emblem series. Originally I was planning on doing the Fire Emblem and Advance Wars series because they're so similar, but what ended up happening was I was just rambling on about Fire Emblem and none of Advance Wars for the longest, which is a shame because I really do want to talk about Advance Wars because I love the series, but I think I'll split this into two parts and do Advance Wars some other year, who knows. I don't plan on doing it next, but I do plan on talking about that eventually. But for now, yes, I'll just be discussing Fire Emblem because that was one of the funnest parts of my childhood, right? It was just fantastic. As for games, it's a really big series, but I'm really limited to what I can actually play because of only few of them get released in America, and even then it gets numbered. So really I can't say I'm a super fan like I am with Kingdom Hearts or Smash Bros, who's played 80% of the games. But it all started off with Fire Emblem, which I'm pretty sure is in reality Fire Emblem 7 or something, the one with Lyn and Elwood. Started off with that game. It was super fun. Really liked it as a kid. Fun oddly enough to this day I have yet to beat it because as a kid, I lost it, and it was really, really disappointing. I don't know what happened to it. To this day, I'm convinced it's somewhere in a decade-old couch somewhere in the dump. But I did emulate, so I just got it on the emulator recently. But even then, I haven't beaten. And that was for the stupidest reason ever, because in one of the levels, I know for a fact, if all your lords combined levels adds up to 50 or something, you go to one level, and if it's not, you go to another level, and I didn't get to the level I wanted to do, so I ended up stop playing. Just kind of stupid on my part, because really it doesn't matter too much. But even so, I stopped there. So I really do got to get back to the game because I do love it. I think the whole reason that I did quit was because doing that keeps you from getting all the promotional items, which is sort of my absolute favorite thing of the game. Is the class system. The class system is my favorite thing ever in anything ever. That and the job system from maybe any other RPGs. Jobs and classes are the cool. I always love cause I notice whenever there are jobs and class systems, they always look really, really cool. Everyone just looks pretty damn awesome, and then when they rank up, they even look even cooler, which is why I don't know, I'm just so attached to that. I love all the classes, how they're all differentiated. I think my favorite class would have to be a sage or mage, or the sniper, or the assassin, or the Draco Knight, or the Pegasus Knight, or the Sword Master, or the general. Well, maybe not the general, but or the any upgraded promoted class, or the super lords. So just basically, they all look like pretty good badasses, and they all once you do upgrade them, their stats are always just pretty much awesome in any Fire Emblem game. To impart some Fire Emblem advice to anyone who hasn't played the series before, never, ever upgrade anyone who's not level 20 yet, because that's when the game caps. This is just some unspoken rule with Fire Emblem that you just pick up, but you do not promote people when they're level 10. That's just no good. I don't know what you'd be thinking if you did that. Because you're pretty much just jipping yourself out of 10 levels if you upgrade yourself at 10, because once you do upgrade, you do get a stat bonus, but then what? Nothing really happens. You start to level up slower, so it's really detrimental actually. Unless of course you just want to see the cool thing, which I did. In that case, just reset your game without saving. I can guarantee you I did that more than once. But yeah, I never beat Fire Emblem. I did beat Sacred Stones, however, and Sacred Stones was a cool game. I actually got into the story as a kid, did all the after game stuff as a kid, surprisingly. And I was actually, is actually, when I think about it, the only Fire Emblem game I've ever beaten, which is weird. I feel weird doing a Filler Friday on a series that technically I haven't even delved that deep into. Because yeah, that's the only game I've beaten. I think the main reason I can beat Sacred Stones is because Sacred Stones is super, super easy. Period, actually, when I think about it. because you can grind in that game. You can't really grind that effectively in any other Fire Emblem game. I mean, you could use the arena, but like if you accidentally screw up in the arena grinding, which is like a famous thing, you jip yourself out of a lot of time and effort. So you just don't do that often. And it's actually really in Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. There's a thing called the Tower of like Valmy or Vahani or something or other, and it's just like it's filled with super easy enemies to grind on that don't give you any XP. But then there's this one boss, super easy enemy. He's still a joke, but he will always give like pre-promoted characters like 100 XP for like the first 15 levels, which is like 75% of that. And in which case he'll give like only like 80 XP, but like you just go in, rush to the boss, kill him, bail, and do that over and over and over again, and you'll have like level 20 units for like every single person. And you upgrade them all, and then it's a really fun time, and then you just wreck everyone with your awesome, badass looking promoted units. And then, you know, it's just a game I can actually beat, because that's fun, right? Yes, that is fun. I mean, it's not to say the game still isn't hard. When I was doing this in comparison to Advance Wars, I did say that I do find Fire Emblem significantly more simple than Advance Wars. But I mean, there's not to say there's still not a bunch of strategy involved. You have to make sure you balance out your like character levels, so like one person isn't just totally horrible, unless you don't plan on using them ever. And like, you know, you still gotta use strategy to keep your units from dying, because when a unit dies, you reset the game. you don't go on with that. They die forever if you don't reset the game, and that's just not an option, because you have to keep everyone's alive. That's a lot. That's just a personal rule of mine. Although I do hear an Awakening, which I can never play. I was really disappointed in that, because like I had my 3DS at the time, but because of the shipping delays, I couldn't get it at that day, and that very same day I came back disappointed from GameStop. My 3DS, that's when it actually broke. So, you know, I kind of got really, really gypped on that. But I hear in Awakening you can have there's an option where like if a unit dies, they don't die for good, which I might add is stupid. Never would do that. That's just not how Fire Emblem works. That's just one of the bigger parts of it. If a unit dies, they're gone for good. That's just a staple of Fire Emblem, like the random number generator. Because that's the funnest thing ever. What I love about Fire Emblem is it's just one really big numbers game. It's all about like, you know, adding your stats, like speed. Speed is like you double hit if your speed is like +4 their speed, or like, you know, your speed is determined by your base speed, and if your like character's constitution is less than the weight of the weapon they're holding, then your speed is deducted by the difference of constitution. It's just a super big like whole formula that like I just love doing, because as a kid, it's only basic math, but like you still have to wrap your head around it to like get it. So like, you know, it's super accomplishing to like know how Fire Emblem works. And like even more in depth to it, it even gets more interesting with the whole like luck, or like the random number generator. Exactly, the weapon triangle is always the funnest thing ever, and like, you know, lance weavers, or you know, swords, axes, and lances. Those are always just the best thing ever. It's always fun, like, you know, having super simple gameplay, but like when you add it all together, it becomes this complex thing that's just super fun to play. And Forest always screwing me over. Missing, and then getting wrecked is funny, because if, from my understanding, the random number generator counts everything twice, so that's why the odds are actually much more probable than you'd think they are. And I also love how like if you miss and restart your game to like try and not miss, the game was like, nope, can't do that, we're gonna play it out exactly how it happened. So if you watch a unit die, you're gonna watch them die over and over and over again. Shit, I wanted to say something, but I totally forgot what I wanted to say. Like hardcore. I'm even forgetting that other thing I wanted to say instead of talking about that. Levels. The levels are randomly generated, which I must say that is the one thing that like determines whether like you have a really, really fun playthrough or a really, really shitty playthrough. Whether or not you actually get stat bonuses when you level up. Because like, you know, that can be problematic. What the hell did I want to say? Wow, this is actually confusing me. What? what? I can't even remember. But moving on, to not just totally stop here. I've only talked about like 3 games briefly, so I guess I could talk about I played Shadow Dragon. Shadow Dragon was interesting. I mean, it was all right. I only rented it for a week and still managed to, I think, almost beat it. At which point I lost interest because yeah, it's a cool game. I should try and play it some other time. But yeah, it's just much more restricted, I've noticed. It is the remake of the first one, so I can't say too much. And then I rented also Path of Radiant Dawn for a while, and that was really cool. I got really far into Radiant Dawn until like you start as Micaiah, and then you go to Ike's place, and then you go back to Micaiah. And the moment I went back to Micaiah is when I started getting wrecked and stopped playing the game because I only rented it and just quit from there. But for when I did play it, it was really, really awesome. The only thing in specific I remember is like forging a really, really cheap like knife for Soph, and he critical hit it like every single time, and it was pretty ridiculous. But it was a really fun game. I did like their addition where like if you get to level 21, mythical level 21, you automatically promote. So you know that's nifty. It teaches people not to freaking upgrade at level 10 or below 20. But yeah, I always thought that was cool. What was that thing I wanted to talk about? That was just in the back of my mind. I can't think of it anymore. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just pause the video to ponder what I was trying to think about. But how did I figure out the series? I'm gonna have to guess Melee, because like 75-80% of the rest of the world, how they discovered Fire Emblem, because like, you know, Marth and Roy were in Melee, and everyone was like, who the hell are these guys? So, you know, they got the games, played the games, awesome, yes, end of that story. But yeah, the music, I guess I could touch up on that. The music in this game is fantastic. Is it? I mean, there's Come Ride With Me, and that's all I can really, that's obviously the staple track, but it's a decent soundtrack, I must say. What else did I want to talk about? Villages? Did I really want to talk about villages? Again, I didn't write a list for this, and I'm sure if I did talk about Advance Wars, I would be able to talk for longer, but at the same time I might just talk for too long, because I do want to keep these at a decent length. It's already actually kind of dragging on. At this point in time, I'm just talking more for the sake of some really, really stupid inside joke. But what I could talk about something else for a second. I'm gonna pause to think about what the hell I wanted to say that one time. So hold on. Oh yes. Now I remember it. It's just this whole gameplay thing with my. So I guess I could talk more about the gameplay as to not make this whole story like seem totally out of place and random. But I really do like it. Stat boosting items, I use those. I guess in like, to bigger Fire Emblem fans, those are taboo, but I still use them because they're fun. I think one of my favorite things to do in the game is whenever, especially in Sacred Stones, with like the pre-motes with like Ewan, Amelia, and what the hell was his name? Ross the Boss. How could I forget that? Like I would always give Ewan the Matus Tome, which like increased like stat growth by 5%. And then like did not level him up, so he got like 10 levels of like increased stat bonuses, and then he just became some like totally rockin' druid or something, or a super pupil. For the one time I did that, even though I realize that's meh. Although I do keep the character sprites, and I do like the character sprites. I mean, they look really cool. The critical hit animations are always pretty awesome. Especially with the sword fighter and the Myrmidons and like, you know, all those people, because those are like one of the most badass classes ever. Even though I must say they do suffer a big problem, and that's their like really, really weak defense. Because something I noticed is like something that happens in the game is something I dub called like the ownage curse. Because what happens is you have such a good unit that they'll just totally one-shot any enemy that you encounter. So what ends up happening is like a unit comes to you, and you one-shot them, but they take like, I don't know, maybe 3 health off of you. And then like instead of like, you know, just stopping there, because you killed it, another enemy comes and tries to fight you, and they like chip off like 4 more HP, and then you kill them, and then more enemies come, and eventually, because you're so good, you end up dying because like, you know, there's no wall to protect you, because yeah, strategy, that's always so fun. But yeah, that's just a weird part of it. I do find more of the game. Yeah, I mean, the weapon, I've already talked about the weapon triangle for enough, but I do like the entire series. I mean, it's really fun. Again, one of the funner series. I really gotta play Awakening at some point in time. But, yeah, is that it? I mean, is there not one thing? Draco Riders and arrows? At this point, I'm just like, you know, picking at things for, like, the sake of picking at things, but... Oh, yes. Would I ever LP this series? Maybe. I feel like, I feel like my favorite, like, playthrough I've ever watched in terms of LP was Crystal Star Studios do it. And I think what made their, like, playthrough of it so successful, it was like group commentary. So there's a lot of people talking about it, and I feel that's, like, something you have to do when you're playing a series, like a genre such as that. When you're just, if it's a strategy game, like, obviously, like, you know, they're gonna last, the maps are gonna last a long time. Not as long as Advance Wars, but they're still gonna last a long time. And therefore you need, like, a bunch of different commentators to make sure there's no dead air, like there would inevitably be. But the problem is, if I wanted to do that, I could easily do it on Boogaloo commentaries. But who else knows about a Fire Emblem? That's the question. I mean, I'm sure they could just learn, or just toughen up and commentate over the random ass stuff, but still, that's... I wouldn't put it past me to try and record it. Even on my own channel, I could do that too. Just for, like, you know, giggles. But, yeah, I guess I already talked of LP. That's, yeah, how could I forget that in the formula? It's, I have these formulaic things that I do for all my filler Fridays. Did I not talk about, I did talk about the music, how it was pretty cool, or decent. But, you know, where we're hitting, I think I've talked for long enough. I met my, I met my inside joke quota. That's kind of stupid at this point in time. But, yeah, I think that's about it for this Filler Fridays. I want to thank you all for listening, for coming up. Tell me what you guys think about the series, because I guess I could, you know, actually try to make it my part to ask you guys about the series. I still feel like there's something I'm forgetting to talk about, but you know what, maybe some other time I'll have, like, an add-on part to everything I've ever forgotten to talk about in these videos. But yeah, until then, this has been skittflash. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Bye!